right, folks, many people complain about being stressed, but are sometimes unaware of the causes of that. Joining us for our 10 minutes to your health discussion this morning is T-House Therapy Associate Psychologist Armour. Tyra, welcome to Smile. How are you?
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah, when you hear people say you worry about things and, you know, how I know is stress. What is stress in the first place?
That's a great question. Stress is, my favorite definition is that it's your body's way of telling you what needs attention or action. Stress is a physiological response to an external change or stimulus that creates mental, emotional, and physical arousal and symptoms.
So what's the difference between me worrying and me being stressed?
Stress would activate more of the fight or flight response in your body. Worrying is more of a mental and cognitive capacity.
Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the common physical symptoms of stress?
See, I love that question because it highlights the importance of addressing your body as much as addressing your mind. Stress can result in tension in your muscles, headaches or migraines. The stress reaction system is also directly connected to your gut, so it can result in irritable bowel syndrome, diarrhea, things like that, loss of appetite, and prolonged stress can cause insomnia, anxiety, worry, and other mental health concerns.
Wow.
But don't other things would cause that also?
Yes.
So then again, how I know is stress and not because I eat something that throw off my stomach or something like that. I'm not being serious.
It's good to check in with your environment and check in with your body. So if you feel irritable bowel, for example, and you haven't eaten anything or you don't have anything in your environment that you're necessarily feel you should be responding to in that way, then it's likely a stress response. Your mind can often interpret danger even when there's no physical danger, and that's what activates the fight or flight response.
All right, so I spoke about the physical symptoms. What are some of the emotional and mental ways in which stress can impact us?
Stress shows up as mental fatigue or decision fatigue, as brain fog as we know it, insomnia as I mentioned, irritability, lack of focus, difficulty sustaining your attention. If you start to feel as though you're not functioning mentally the way that you typically would, it would be a good time to check in and see if there are any stressors that might be impacting you.
Don't we all go through this? Everybody?
Everybody experiences stress.
At one stage or the other. All right, so if I figure out that this is stress, then what? What I do?
That's a great time to check in with your body again, do some grounding exercises or practice mindfulness. Stress is often a mental response.
Sorry to jump in. You say practice mindfulness. What does that mean?
That means bringing your awareness back into the present moment. So we're often anxious about things that might be happening in the future or ruminating on things that may have happened in the past. When we practice mindfulness, we make an asserted effort to pay attention to the things that we can see around us, the things that we can smell, using our senses to bring us back into the present moment so that we're not ruminating on these thoughts that are then activating stress.
Okay, so what are some of the strategies? Because, I mean, that's broad-based in terms of mindfulness and so on. How do I practice mindfulness? What are some of the ways that I can effectively, get some strategies to manage stress?
We call grounding techniques can be very helpful when you're having an immediate stress response. One of my favorites is called the 5 senses technique. So you look around your environment for 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And as you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in your mind, you're taking your awareness away from whatever might be stressing you out and bringing yourself back into your body, regulating your nervous system, reminding yourself that you're safe and in control.
Give them to me again.
I was just going to say that. I forget what you tell me a while ago. So 5 things
you can see,
4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
Look in here and tell me 5 things that I can see.
Well, I see the Smile Jamaica sign. I see the plants. I see your beautiful faces.
Great.
I see the decor. And I see the 10 minutes to your health.
And I can touch Delia. and touch her again. And touch her again. And touch her again.
HR
can feel-
harassment.
But it's really great to activate the senses as much as possible so you can feel the texture of the seat, feel yourself sitting in the chair, see if you can taste maybe your toothpaste from this morning or the coffee that you just drank.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and try to identify what you can smell. And that's another way to regulate our stress response is deep breathing exercises and mindful breathing.
Yeah. Earlier we had an interview, I'm not certain if you saw it or heard it, about kids, and parents not abusing them and stuff. Is stress a old people thing, or young people get it, young ladies get it, young boys get it, or what?
It's an all people thing. Everybody has the stress response in their body. It's an evolutionary measure to protect us from danger. But because stress is so prevalent, that's why you hear it in association with things like post-traumatic stress disorder. In that instance, the trauma would be the external trigger or stressor, and the stress would be your physiological response to that trauma. And that, again, is what activates the fight or flight response. And if you're not able to protect yourself in that instance, then your body remains in the fight or flight response. And that can happen in childhood, unfortunately, when children are abused or exposed to trauma. And if they don't know how to regulate themselves, then it can be prolonged throughout their life.
Is stress an illness? Can it lead to an illness?
Yes, physically and mentally.
So it's an illness, or can it lead to an illness?
It can lead to an illness.
So it's not by itself an illness?
No, by itself, it's a natural response of the body to the environment around you.
So should I be concerned if I feel like, why I feel so stressed today? Should I just go with the flow,
Or practice mindfulness.
by things you could see?
Exactly. You've got it.
I mean, one of the things about the environment is social support. Tara, how important is it to have that kind of environment or social support that will help you to manage stress?
Social support is so important. And in fact, one of the mental or emotional symptoms is withdrawing from social activity and social interaction. And if it is that you check in with yourself and you wonder, why am I so stressed today? It could be very helpful to talk to a trusted friend, someone that you feel safe with. Even just venting about what you're stressed about might help relieve some of that stress. And if it is that that stress is prolonged and you find yourself asking, what am I so stressed about every day for 7 days or up to a month, then I would recommend reaching out to a professional.
Okay.
You get stressed?
Yes.
Plenty?
I get stressed plenty and I regulate myself plenty.
All right.
You do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. I get stressed every Tuesday and Thursday.
But I understand the Tuesday. I don't understand the Thursday.
Well, Clive is here every day.
Oh, okay. No, I understand. No, I understand. So he's not one of the 5 things we can see.
No.
He's not part of the social support?
No. So setting boundaries is important to manage stress, isn't it? Yeah. How do you do that, though? Setting, I guess, personal and professional boundaries.
That is so important. And when we speak about boundaries, we're referring to our window of tolerance. So how much do we have the capacity for, and can we manage in terms of the natural response of stress? And when you find that you're operating outside of your window of tolerance, if you're overwhelmed, you're experiencing prolonged stress, or you feel arousal and you don't know what you're responding to in your environment, that would be a great time to check in with setting boundaries. And you can communicate to the people around you. I think being clear and firm about your boundaries are the best way to reinforce them. But we often think of boundaries as, putting up walls to keep other people out. But I prefer to think of boundaries as putting intentional ways to protect ourselves. So you would know best what boundaries work for you and when or where you might need them. But it is a process of trial and error, and it can be uncomfortable enforcing boundaries. But really reminding yourself that it's for your own health and well-being can be helpful even through that discomfort.
Final question, which might be strange and unfair to you, but is there anything physically, like Dealer just took up the cup of tea, so I'm feeling stressed, is there anything I can go drink a cup of tea or a bottle of rum? Just joking. I just tease it because everybody knows I don't drink, but is there anything like that that could kind of ease you off a bit, or no?
Yes, absolutely. The two things that come to mind immediately are breathing exercises. If you're in a situation where you can't get up and move around, I would recommend some deep breathing. One of my favorites is to breathe in for a count of 6 and breathe out for a count of 8. And breathing out for a longer exhale than your inhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the opposite of the fight or flight response. So that's what I mean when I talk about emotional regulation and physical regulation. That really helps bring your body back to equilibrium. But the best way to close the stress cycle and that feedback loop in the body would be physical movement. Getting out, doing some exercise, going for a run, or even a casual walk, and taking your mind off of the stressor, changing your environment, and working out some of those stress hormones that would otherwise be perpetuating the stress cycle.
I'll just fire Clive.
Well explained.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much for coming.
You're so very welcome. Thank you for having me.
God bless you.
Tea-House Therapy Associate Psychologist Tara Armour.
10 minutes to your health. We'll do it again next Thursday.